Good evening and welcome to This Week in Turkey. President Recep Tayyip Erdoğan and US President Donald Trump had frank and very productive talks, according to Trump, on Wednesday. They discussed a range of crucial matters such as Turkey's acquisition of F-35 fighter jets, the situation in Syria, and the bilateral trade volume between the two countries.
The closed-door meeting lasted for about 65 minutes. Erdoğan and Trump's meeting's agenda covered bilateral relations, foreign policy issues, and the recent developments in the region and around the globe. During the meeting, the leaders tackled the extradition of Fethullah Gülen, a topic Ankara has repeatedly emphasized, the current situation in Syria, especially Washington's approach towards the YPG and the PKK, and Turkey's acquisition of Russian S-400 defense systems. Erdoğan said at the press conference after his meeting with Trump that he returned a letter by his US counterpart that threatened Turkey with economic devastation if Ankara proceeded with its operation in northern Syria. I presented the letter to Mr. President and especially felt sorrow that a US president took a terrorist called Ferhat Abdi Şahin as an addressee, said Erdoğan. Şahin, also known as Mazlum Kobani, is the leader of the Syrian Democratic Forces, which Turkey considers to be the Syrian extension of the Kurdistan Workers' Party. That the US, which we call our strategic partner, welcomes such a person actually saddens us. Likewise, this person is welcomed by Russia. It is hard to comprehend this within the scope of the fight against terrorism across the world, Erdoğan added. President Erdoğan also put emphasis on the to-be-established safe zone in northern Syria, saying tens of thousands of people died because a safe zone was not implemented quickly enough. Erdoğan added that Turkey and the US can work together to bring peace, stability to Syria, and completely finish ISIS. Regarding the anti-ISIS fight, Trump said Turkey is helping a lot in the effort, capturing all ISIS terrorists escaping prisons controlled by the YPG. For this part, Trump said the meetings with Erdoğan and his senior officials were very productive. Trump said the decisions were wonderful during the joint press conference. The US-Turkish alliance can be a powerful force for security and stability, not only in the Middle East, but beyond. I look forward to working with you, Trump said, referring to Erdoğan. Trump said he and Erdoğan have directed their senior officials to immediately work on resolving the S-400 issue. Turkey's acceptance of the S-400, Trump said, creates some very serious challenges for us, and we're talking about it constantly. We talked about it today. We will talk about it in the future. Hopefully, we will be able to resolve that situation, he said. Regarding the expansion of the bilateral trade volume to reach $100 billion, Trump said he thinks we made tremendous progress on that. We encourage Turkey to further open its market, and they are doing that, he said. The White House followed up on the meeting with a lengthy statement saying Turkey has enormous potential as a trading partner of the United States.
Foreign policy analyst based in London, Selin Nasi, is with us this evening. Good evening, Ms. Nasi. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening.
Before delving into the details, I would like to ask you what were Turkey's expectations before this meeting, and were these expectations met, or which one of these expectations were met?
Well, your introduction provided us a brief outline of net gains of this meeting. My take is that this visit can be considered as another episode of the ongoing negotiations between the United States and Turkey, which aim to postpone the crisis rather than provide concrete solutions to the long-standing issues between the two countries. In the wake of this visit, the two sides shared a list of agenda topics that they were going to discuss in Washington in the White House. And it was obvious from the start that how reconcilable their expectations were. Turkey's list comprised of the extradition of Fethullah Gülen, halting of the sanctions on Turkey, the sanctions which targeted the president and his relatives, and also as the dropping of the Halkbank case. And also on his way to Washington, President Erdoğan underlined that he was very underlined that the United States failed to fulfill its promises in Syria. And as we understood from Trump's declarations in the wake of this meeting, the United States was willing to start the negotiations on the condition that Turkey reversed its position with regard to S-400 air defense system it has recently purchased from Russia. So based on the joint news conference after the meeting, we can say that little progress has been achieved on these agenda items. But in my opinion, these high-level visits, we should not hold high expectations of such high-level visits because they, by and large, target domestic audiences. And so they are framed as success stories for the leaders and an opportunity, a photo opportunity for the leaders above all. And in this regard, we can say that news conference satisfied these expectations. Friendly ties between the two leaders, between Trump and Erdoğan, were almost visible, so concrete. He said that Trump said that he was a fan of Erdoğan, but there were also tense moments as well. But overall, Erdoğan enjoyed a warm welcome in the White House, and President Trump made a friendly gesture. This was very important by inviting senators from the Republican Party to meet Erdoğan, and this provided the Turkish delegation to present their views on conflicting issues. Overall, we can say that, of course, to what extent the messages conveyed by the Turkish delegation will be able to influence the U.S. foreign policy behavior, we will see. We have to wait and see.
It seems that one of the only issues Erdoğan and Trump agreed upon was relocating Syrians in Turkey to the safe zone. But it seems also that Trump threw the ball to Europe when it came to financing the move. So in that sense, how meaningful is Trump's support?
Well, his standing does not sound surprising to me because he has underlined several times that the United States should not be the only country that should bear the costs of world policing alone. So he emphasized the significance of burden sharing with allies, among the allies, for several times. That is why for example, he called on the Saudis to finance the military operations in Syria. He also called on the European partners to undertake responsibilities with regard to the refugee issue. Unfortunately, as we all know, Europe is in total disarray and not only lacks financial resources, but also lacks political leadership to fulfill these responsibilities. And the prospects are unfortunately grim that if one day they will wake up from this long sleep, who knows?
You mentioned the S-400 air systems, but Erdoğan said that he would not activate them and he would further purchase the Patriot systems. Where would Russia stand on this? Do you think this will create a reaction from President Putin, or were they just simply concerned by selling their system and they really won't have much to say about this?
Well, I honestly don't know, and it is very hard to read Putin's mind, but I can say that this is a trilateral conversation. Russia is the shadow actor in any negotiations being carried out between the United States and Turkey that discusses the future of S-400 air defense system. And we know that President Erdoğan has declared previously that it was a done deal. We also know that Ankara is willing to keep S-400s and also receive F-45s, but there is the statement of U.S. Secretary of Defense Mark Esper. He said that even if Turkey keeps S-400s in the garage, it will not be able to receive and it will not be reintroduced to the F-45 program. So I honestly don't know, but Ankara is hoping to find a middle way, and we will find out soon if leaders in Washington and Ankara will be able to pull out perhaps rabbits out of their heads.
There's also the issue of Muslim Kobani. According to Trump's discourse, he seems to equate both his allies, both Erdoğan and Kobani. What do you think his intentions were with this? Was he trying to play the middleman? Would this even work, considering the way the HDP is being treated in Turkey?
Well, this was one of the most unfortunate moments of the joint press conference. Since the ISIS Kobane siege in the fall of 2014, the United States has been cooperating with the Syrian Kurdish militants, which took different names. But Turkey, whichever name you call them, sees Syrian Kurdish forces, Syrian Democratic Forces, People's Protection Units, as an offshoot of the PKK. This is the core issue between Turkey and the United States, which erodes mutual trust. But we can see that the United States is not willing to change its position on this issue, and that is why these issues are very tricky, and we will see the tension continue between the two countries.
Thank you very much, Ms. Nasi, for your assessment of the meeting.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
The Ministry of Interior has yet again dismissed 4 mayors in Kurdish-majority cities and appointed the district governors as trustees. The total of dismissed mayors from the People's Democratic Party after the March 31 local elections has risen to 20.
Mayors of Yenişehir and Hazro districts in Diyarbakır, İdil district in Şırnak, and Akpazar town in Dersim have been replaced with trustees by the Ministry of Interior. The mayors have been dismissed over terrorism-related investigations against them. Previously, on October 22, mayors of Diyarbakır's Kayapınar, Kocaköy, and Bismil districts and mayor of the Erciş district of Eastern Van province were dismissed and replaced by trustees. Earlier on August 19, mayors of Diyarbakır, Van, and Mardin metropolitan municipalities had been replaced by trustees, making the total number of HDP mayors dismissed after the March 31st local elections 20.
The principal of the Mehmetçik Elementary School in the central Anatolian province of Aksaray, which made the headlines after a group of parents were recorded on video booing at autistic children, has been temporarily dismissed from duty, Education Minister Ziya Selçuk announced on November 8.
Reactions mounted following the circulation of a footage on social media of children with autism at the school being booed by the parents of other children, demanding that the autistic kids to be sent to other schools. Out of 334 children at Mehmetçik Elementary School, 42 received special education. The parents in question had claimed that the children with autism were behaving violently to their children, demanding that the special education unit at the school be shut down and the students in the unit sent to other schools. In response to these surging reactions against the incident, the Ministry of National Education released a statement on November 7 and announced that an inspection and investigation have been launched into the incident by the inspectors of the ministry. We will not let any of kids to be exposed to discrimination. There are some problems that our children with autism are going through in the education system. We are undertaking works about this, Selçuk said. By sending a group of Education Ministry inspectors from Ankara, we have launched an investigation process. The investigation is continuing with sensitivity. As part of the investigation, the principal of the Mehmetçik Primary School in Central Anatolian province of Aksaray has been suspended from duty, he said. According to Istanbul Autism Volunteers Association President Sedef Erken, the incident in Aksaray is not unique. There are hundreds of events like this. The one in Aksaray was heard about because it was reported in the press. Between September and October, I dealt with at least 50 events similar to this one, Erken told Duvar. When children with autism are accepted to schools, it's as if they are doing us a favor. They're expecting us to thank them, taking the students into their schools. Forget that sort of thing. I pay taxes and I'm a citizen like everyone else, said Erken, pointing out that all children have the right to an education in Turkey.
The body of James the Measurer, a former British Army officer who founded an organization that trained the White Helmets, a Syrian emergency response group, was discovered in Istanbul before dawn on Monday.
Turkish media outlets said he was found with fractures to his head and legs and appeared to have fallen from a balcony in the central Karaköy district. The Istanbul governor's office confirmed his death and said it had opened a war, and the White Helmets, also known as the Syrian Civil Defense, had recently come under attack by the Russian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Western Intelligence Services in 2017.
A week after he was released from prison, journalist and writer Ahmed Altan has been arrested again.
A court has arrested renowned journalist Ahmed Altan a week after his release, a move that was harshly criticized by international press and rights groups. Altan was released on November 4 in a case related to a failed 2016 coup, which was followed by Istanbul Chief Public Prosecutor's Office appealing the ruling, which branded the rearrest as judicial farce. Ahmed Altan has committed no crime. This judicial farce, emblematic of a period where politically motivated show trials have become the norm, must be brought to an end. Altan must be allowed to remain at home with his family and to have his absurd conviction quashed, Amnesty International's Europe director Marie Struthers said.
In a matter of 2 weeks, 3 families suspected of having committed suicide by cyanide have been reported. Last week, Istanbul police officers found the bodies of 4 siblings in their home. A couple of days later, another family of 4 was found dead in their apartment in the southern province of Antalya. Just this morning, in Istanbul's district of Bakırköy, a man committed suicide after poisoning his wife and child.
Beware of cyanide. Call the police. Do not enter. Read the note on the door of the house of the 4 siblings in Istanbul's Fatih district on November 5. Police were called to the scene by relatives of the 2 women and 2 men, all unmarried siblings aged 48, 54, 56, and 60. According to a preliminary examination, Cüneyt, Oya, Kamuran, and Yaşar Yetişkin were killed by an overdose of antidepressant pills. Reports state that they had financial and psychological problems and might have committed suicide. There were no signs of a home invasion. Their bodies were sent to the Forensic Medicine Institution of the Justice Ministry in Istanbul for further examination. Before the police entered the house, a team of the Disaster and Emergency Management Authority inspected the house and did not find any dangerous substances. The second incident occurred on November 9 in the southern province of Antalya, when a relative could not reach the family on the evening of November 8, prompting them to inform the police. After receiving authorization from the prosecutor's office, police officers broke into the house and found the dead bodies of Selim Şimşek, 36, his wife Sultan Şimşek, 38, and their children Ceren Şimşek, 9, and Ali Çınar Şimşek, 5. The initial examination showed that the family might have died from cyanide poisoning. 3 police officers and 3 first responders were hospitalized from the odor upon entering the apartment, prompting an evacuation of the 8-story building where the residence is located. The father, Selim Şimşek, reportedly left a note describing the difficulties he was going through. He and his 2 children were found dead, holding hands in the living room, while the mother was found dead in the bathroom, reports said. This morning in the Bakırköy district of Istanbul, a man committed suicide after poisoning his wife and child. According to Bakırköy's district governorship, the smell of cyanide was detected in the apartment, leading to the evacuation of the building. Istanbul's chief public prosecutor's office has released a statement that the father, who was involved in gold trade, had high debts which caused him to be depressed.
The transfer of historical buildings due to the construction of a dam in Hasankeyf, located in the province of Batman, continues.
The 150-year-old bazaar was demolished to transport the Al-Rizq Mosque, built 610 years ago, to the Archaeopark in Yeni Hasankeyf. Authorities had given time to shop owners in the historical bazaar to move to the new settlement area until November 3. Mehmet Kızmaz, a journalist from the region, told Bianet that both the demolition and resistance continue. Some left the historical bazaar, which was about 50 shops, but there were also those who stayed because they were not given a place in the new settlement area. Some artisans, although they live in Hasankeyf, were not counted as people of the region because I guess they're not married and they were not granted a place, a shop in the new area. These artisans are resisting. The ancient city of Hasankeyf will be submerged underwater once the Ilısu Dam operates in full capacity. Authorities transferred numerous historical buildings from the area that will submerge.
For the first time in Germany's history, a politician with Turkish descent has won the mayor's office in a major city. Belit Onay, a parliamentarian from the Green Party, claimed nearly 53% of the votes, becoming the metropolitan mayor of Hanover.
Belit Onay, a German Green Party lawmaker with Turkish roots, has become the mayor of Hanover. Onay won 52.9% of the votes in the second round of the election on November 10, beating his rival Eckhard Schlotz, an independent candidate supported by the Christian Democratic Union, who got to 47.1%. Local media reported that it is the first time a candidate born to immigrant parents has been elected mayor of one of the country's 16 state capitals. During his election campaign, Onay promised to transform Hanover into a climate-friendly city, struggle for affordable housing, and improve social cohesion. Onay, a lawyer by profession, has served as an MP in the Lower Saxony Parliament since 2013, and before that had been a city councillor since 2011. The 38-year-old new mayor was born in Goslar, Lower Saxony, to Turkish parents who emigrated from Istanbul to Germany in the 1970s. Almost 3 million people of Turkish origin or descent live in Germany, many the second and third generation relatives of guest workers who were welcomed to fill a labor shortage of the country after World War II.
November 10 marked the 81st anniversary of death of the founder of the Republic of Turkey, Ataturk. Millions of people paid their respects to Ataturk at 9:05 a.m. as sirens blared and life came to a standstill throughout the country.
A human chain was formed in Istanbul's district of Kadıköy, with thousands paying their respects to the country's founder. People also visited Dolmabahce Palace, where Ataturk died at the age of 57 on November 10, 1938. Thousands of people started flocking to Anıtkabir, Ataturk Mausoleum in the capital Ankara, from early hours of the day. An official ceremony was also held in Anıtkabir with the participation of President Recep Tayyip Erdoğan, main opposition Republican People's Party leader Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu, Good Party leader Meral Akşener, and a number of state officials, as well as the force commanders. Interestingly, the youth branch of the Justice and Development Party of the southwestern province of Muğla prepared a video paying their respects to Ataturk. While the video was met with a variety of reactions, it points out to the changing perception of Ataturk among the population, especially religious conservative circles. The rediscovery of Atatürkism by the people as a civic and democratic movement stems in the need to protect the nation in light of recent events. Ataturk was born in 1881 in Thessaloniki, in what was then the Ottoman Empire. He made his mark in the military in 1915 when he led forces to repel the Allied invasion in Çanakkale, known in the West as the Dardanelles. Following the collapse of the Ottoman Empire after World War I, Ataturk led the Turkish War of Independence, defeating European powers. When he became president, Ataturk transformed the former empire into a modern and secular country.
That's all from This Week in Turkey. See you next Friday at 9 p.m. Good night.